Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having an awesome day and a good evening to all of you. My name is Esther, and I head communications at the Movement India. This evening, we have some amazing speakers here, and we're going to be talking about human trafficking and what every single one of us can do about this. For today, I have Keith Sequeira and Rochelle Rao. I'm just going to bring them in. Rochelle, if you can see this live, could you just drop me a request, please? I can see you, but I'm not able to add you in.
Hi.
Hi, Keith. Hi, Rochelle. So good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. Got a bit of an allergy, but otherwise I'm good.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Thank you so much for being on this live. I'm just going to try bringing Kashina in and then we'll get started right away.
Of course.
Kashina, if you can see this, please could you send me a request to be as part of the live and I will bring you in.
So for everyone who joined us live, before Kashina joins us or while she's joining us, I just wanted to let you know that the Movement India is a group that we have been supporting for the last few years. They do something known as the Walk for Freedom every year, where we encourage the youth of India especially, and of course everybody else who wants to stand for a cause, to join us and walk for the cause of freedom. That is against human trafficking, slavery, and any kind of oppression of human beings in India. So that is why we are doing this live, and that is, the topic that we're going to be discussing today. And of course, Esther has been heading the Movement India, and she's been taking care of it for all these years so well. And I think Kashina has also joined us now.
Just the comms part, yeah. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Rochelle. Yeah, I'm quickly going to introduce Kashina and we'll get right in. So many of you may already know about Prerna. They're an organization in the anti-trafficking space. Specifically, they've worked to end intergenerational prostitution. They work to protect women and children from trafficking. And today we have Kashina. She's assistant director at Prerna, and she's a subject matter expert on all things human trafficking. Kashina, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for inviting us. Hi, Rochelle.
Hi, Kashina. Keith was with us. He's just coming back in a second or two. He's struggling with some allergies today. So yeah, I think a lot of
Yeah.
our well. So it's great to see all of you. Thank you guys for all the love. And today I'm not going to be talking about the Kapil Sharma show, but I'm going to be talking about a cause that is very, very close to my heart. So I hope you guys will stay and join the discussion with us.
Yeah, Rochelle, before we get started, I just want to thank you for taking time out to do this. And I know it's not a one-off thing for you. Like, you've been part of this cause right from 2018. You hosted the Walk for Freedom in 2019 in Mumbai, and we are so happy to have you host this live. And we can go straight into our conversation with Kashina.
Yes, I mean, I think it's the real heroes are people like Kashina who are, on ground doing the work out there. So firstly, thank you, Kashina, for joining and thank you for all the amazing work that you do. Looking forward to learning a bit today and, just understanding what human trafficking is all about and what we can do to put an end to human trafficking as just regular citizens of this country.
Yeah, before we go, just hi Kasina, sorry I had to pop out. I've got a bit of an allergy playing up today, but yeah, so
Yes. Hi.
hi.
So I'm just going to ask you the first question, Kashina. What is human trafficking? Because I think there's a lot of confusion around just
The technicality.
Yeah, what is it comprised of? What is human trafficking?
Right. So I'm just going to also, before I start answering the questions, I've been told that I have to keep my answers as simple as possible. So I'm also sharing that disclaimer that I am trying to keep the answers as brief and as simple as possible. So human trafficking, if we look at it essentially in simple terms, could be explained as the buying and selling of human beings. This may be done for various purposes. I think that's something that we'll come to subsequently. So this may, the act of human trafficking may be committed for various purposes, which in some cases we also refer to as destination crimes of human trafficking. One important component of human trafficking that we always keep in mind when sharing about human trafficking is that when this crime particularly occurs, it is occurring at the expense of the victim who's trafficked. And the victim per se is not going to benefit from, from any of this. So someone else or others involved in the crime of trafficking are essentially benefiting at the cost of the victim. So in simple terms, this is how human trafficking could be explained.
So basically what you're saying is that human trafficking is the buying and selling of a human being. That's the definition technically. And the person paying the price is not two ways. When you buy, it's a two-way transaction here. The person who is involved, who is being trafficked, is the person paying the price.
Correct. So it is basically at the cost of the person who is being sold, who's being bought and sold, but the person who is actually being bought and sold is not benefiting from the transaction at all. Instead, there are some other individuals who we often refer to as traffickers or others that may be involved in this crime who are actually benefiting from this entire arrangement.
Correct. So now the second question, can I, because it's something that I had in my mind. A lot of people think human trafficking, when you say human trafficking, they're only talking about sex trafficking, right? And that's not the only parameter for human trafficking. There are a lot of other crimes related to human trafficking and trafficking done in different ways. So what are the different ways that you all have identified in context to India and generally that happen?
Yeah, so that's a very, very interesting point, because I think, like you're rightly saying, a lot of individuals may get conflated with the fact that trafficking may only happen for the purposes of sex or the sex trade, but that is only one of the purposes for which individuals may be trafficked. So of course, sex trade is one of the biggest purposes or destination crimes essentially for which humans are trafficked. But other purposes for which individuals may be trafficked include labor, which essentially also bonded labor is something that, that we've often come across. So if you look at it in terms of priority, maybe bonded labor is the second next to sexual exploitation for which individuals may be trafficked. Besides that, we have also realized that individuals may be trafficked for organs. So sale of organs is also something that individuals may be particularly trafficked for. Marriage is another purpose for which some individuals may be trafficked. Lately, we've also seen that surrogacy, so using of, a woman's womb specifically is also a purpose for which a woman specifically or a young girl may be trafficked. So yeah, largely these could be different purposes for individuals, for which individuals may be trafficked.
Okay, I'm just going to add a part to this question. Is this skewed more towards children and to women and men, especially, and a lot of out of this trafficking equation? Is that a truth? If I would say that, is that a correct statement?
So yes, largely women and children are more prone to human trafficking, considering the social background and the societal construct that we live in today. So definitely, if we look at the victims that we identify or the victims that we end up working with as well, a majority of them are women and children, but that doesn't mean that men may not be trafficked at all. Labor is one particular area where specifically men and young boys and men do get trafficked.
Boys.
So yeah, boys as well do get trafficked. So we have that proportion as well, but of course the proportion of women and girls is much, much higher, considering the kind of background, also considering the kind of background that they come from. So any particular situation where an individual's vulnerability particularly could be exploited, I think makes them more prone to human trafficking. Like during this entire COVID period, people were talking about the fact that because there was loss of jobs, because the social construct had become in a certain way, economic, we were looking at an economic crisis. Those are things that, of course, makes individuals much more susceptible to human trafficking. Disaster. So human or man-made disasters could also make individuals much more prone to the crime of human trafficking.
So one of the things that you said that, just caught my attention, which I just wanted to speak about, is that you said that women's wombs are also something, because I think what is happening is there's a lot of trends internationally where things are a little more protected and there are laws in place of surrogacy. So is that kind of what you were referring to when you were referring to of women's wombs? Is that what is happening?
Yes, so India actually has a law that we probably don't have a lot of expertise on as Prerna, because we've not worked particularly on that law, but there is a law on surrogacy. Again, this is going to get a little technical, but I'm just going to try and keep it simple. There's something called altruistic surrogacy, which is basically done from the purposes of altruism, right? So there is no involvement in that sense of money or anything in kind as well. So surrogacy that is done with that kind of an intention, of course, may not commit to or may not account for human trafficking. But commercial surrogacy, again, in some ways is not permitted or is illegal. And now again, there are of course technicalities in this that we may probably not get into, but this is largely how the law looks at surrogacy as well.
So that's something good to know, because I think a lot of people are, unaware that there is a flip side to this as well. So if you are looking at going in for surrogacy, then you need to make sure that you're going through the right channels with people who are, following the law and everything is above board, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the things that, I think one of the things we should maybe touch on here is trafficking for forced marriage, which is related to what you were saying in terms of surrogacy. But India has the highest numbers of child brides, or that was reported by CNN a few years ago. But forced marriage is definitely one of the reasons for which trafficking happens. So, Kashina, we just want to touch on that while we're on this topic.
Yes. So I think there are a lot of, again, when it comes to something like commercial sexual exploitation as well as child marriages, there are a lot of social constructs and a lot of social and religious sanctity that is given to some of these cultures and traditional practices in the name of, child marriage. Or also in commercial sexual exploitation, we often see that the oldest daughter in certain communities may be, pushed into the sex trade to take care of the family. Now, these are again all the, particularly the societal constructs are such, and also there is a lot of sanctity or approval that is given because of, maybe religious or cultural constructs particularly, because of which, these things happen. And often the response of very unfortunate, but response of law enforcement and other stakeholders that are essentially supposed to protect these victims, they often tell you that, this is something that happens in their community, or this is something that, is a practice that has been going on since generations. So this is something that we witness very strongly, that law also, unfortunately, is not able to, it's very difficult to use the law also when it comes to some of these things which are so embedded or so institutionalized in the form of, human trafficking for different purposes. I just wanted to add one more thing, because, Rochelle, you were speaking about surrogacy. At the same time, there are a lot of individuals that may be out there who may be looking to adopt a child as well. So there is also trafficking of children in terms of sale of infants. And that may also come into the ambit of human trafficking in particular. So India has a law, particularly in terms of, the right channels that one should go through in case they want to adopt a child. And if you do not go through those right channels and engage in a commercial transaction or engage in any of such, buying and selling activities, then that could also be construed as the act of human trafficking. So that is also one thing that ordinary citizens need to be aware of.
So I just wanted to take a moment here, Kashina and Esther, just to speak to a few of the fans who are joining in. I think a lot of people are asking the question of why we are discussing such a serious topic, and I think it's a fair enough question, because obviously they're used to me doing the Kapil Sharma show and having a lot of humor. But जैसे कि आप लोग देख रहे हैं, हम लोग तो we work to bring humor to people's lives, but at the same time we have a responsibility to the society that we live in. And living in Mumbai, I'm sure आप सब लोग जानते हो traffic light, traffic signal में जब आप रुकते हैं, those people are also a product of all of these issues. I'm sure you have seen young children working in homes against their will. I'm sure that you have seen young girls, maybe even your own relatives, that are being married at such young ages, right? So these are all things which are happening in our society today, and we have to talk about it because we want to bring a stop to these things. तो हम hमेशा खुशी के लिए काम नहीं कर सकते, कभी कभी थोड़ा serious होना है, but I think it's for a very good cause. So I would welcome you guys once again to please join us in this discussion so that we can all learn a few things together, right?
Yeah. And I also generally मेरा तो ये मानना है कि जिंदगी में आप अपने आसपास ही जो देखते हैं उन चीजों से आप प्रभावित होते हैं. तो there's a lot of things that happen आपकी जिंदगी में जो आप कुछ करना शायद चाहते हैं क्योंकि आपके अंदर की इंसानियत बोलती है कि मुझे कुछ करना है, लेकिन आपको ये नहीं पता कि मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ. ठीक है. और आप रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी नहीं लेना चाहते क्योंकि आप इतना हो सकता है आप एक कदम लेना चाहते हैं लेकिन उससे ज्यादा आप कर नहीं पाओगे. तो आप क्या करेंगे परिस्थिति में, ये हम थोड़ा सा आपके लिए आसान करना चाहते हैं. तो दिस इज जस्ट समथिंग दैट हमारे दिल में है, रोशन और मेरे दिल में. हम मूवमेंट इंडिया के साथ काफी जुड़ चुके हैं, तो हम छोटे मोटे जो भी हम काम कर सकते हैं अपने जिंदगी में, हम उन चीजों को आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहते हैं. तो ये हमारी इच्छा है.
What he said.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Rochelle.
तो इसलिए मैं ये सवाल अगला पूछना चाहता हूँ कि अगर कोई हमारे जो फैंस हैं उनमें से कोई अपने दिल से कुछ करना चाहता है लेकिन उनको ये नहीं पता मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, अगर एक सिंपल सी चीज है उनको फोन करना है, तो इन चीजों को कैसे परखें? हाउ डू वी फाइंड आउट कि हाँ कुछ ऐसे हो रहा है, सस्पिशन है लेकिन पता नहीं क्या है, तो वो क्या आपको फोन कर सकते हैं, आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को बता सकते हैं कि मेरे ख्याल से ऐसे हो रहा है लेकिन मुझे नहीं पता, मैं कुछ करना चाहता हूँ बट ये नहीं पता क्या कर सकता हूँ.
Exactly.
करेक्ट. सो आई थिंक जब हमें ऐसा लग रहा हो कि हमने ऐसी कोई सिचुएशन देखी है या वी आर ट्राइंग टू असेस whether this particular individual is in danger or not, there are two things that I think we should largely be aware of. एक तो अगर उस व्यक्ति के सेफ्टी को लेकर कोई कंसर्न है, इमीडिएट कंसर्न है उनकी सुरक्षा को लेकर, तो उस समय पे लॉ एनफोर्समेंट माने पुलिस के पास जाना ज्यादा कन्वीनियंट रहेगा और ज्यादा उनके लिए भी अच्छा रहेगा जिनके साथ हम ये काम करना चाहते हैं, या जो एक्चुअल में जिनकी सेफ्टी को थ्रेट है. So that may be more possible at that point in time. But if there is a situation जहाँ हम unsure है, we're uncertain whether this particular individual, is actually a victim of a crime, where we need to assess in certain ways. Of course, organizations like Prerna can be reached out to. इसी के साथ साथ हमारे पास हेल्पलाइंस है काफी सारी. एक 10098 है जो टिपिकली चाइल्ड लाइन है, जो बच्चों 1098 सॉरी 1098 है, 1098 जिस पे फोन करके चाइल्ड लाइन को कांटेक्ट किया जा सकता है. तो चाइल्ड लाइन एक ऐसा जरिया है, एक ऐसा माध्यम है जिससे कोई भी बच्चा जिसको कहीं पे भी एट एनी पॉइंट इन टाइम इफ दे आर फेसिंग एनी डिफिकल्टीज, child line can actually come to that particular place and rescue that particular child or even assess what the child's need is. So this is one number that
1098.
1098.
Yeah.
Nice.
1098 is the easy way to remember it. Yeah.
And also, ऐसा नहीं है कि if somebody calls the line that they are immediately going to be taken out of their home. If you call the helpline, someone will come to assess the situation. और amicably solve भी कर सकते हैं, तो वो भी they will make sure that they see to it that way, right?
Correct, absolutely. So I think that is where the entire system comes at play, where an assessment would be done. अगर उनके माँ बाप है, पेरेंट्स है, कुछ सोशल सिस्टम है, एक स्ट्रक्चर है, सपोर्ट सिस्टम है, तो उनसे थोड़ा बहुत जांच पड़ताल होती है, उनसे बात होती है, ये समझा जाता है कि क्या सच में बच्चे की सेफ्टी का कोई कंसर्न है, एंड देन अकॉर्डिंगली अ डिसीजन इज मेड कि किस प्रकार से बच्चे की मदद कर सकते हैं. कई बार परिवार की मदद करने की जरूरत है, सिर्फ बच्चे की मदद करने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो वो भी जो हेल्प है वो एक्सटेंड किया जा सकता है आफ्टर दिस प्रोसेस ऑफ असेसमेंट.
And
I just want to address, one of the comments. There's somebody who's asked, could you tell us what are some of the hints or the signs to notice these things in our neighborhood? So, Kashina, maybe if you could just give us a few suspicious things that an ordinary citizen can maybe flag or notice as suspicious?
Definitely. So I think one thing is that what we often find when we work with victims, this is essentially when we interact with them pre and post their rescue from that situation of exploitation, is that there is a lot of overall stress and anxiety in that person. तो अगर आपको लगता है कि वो हड़बड़ा रहे हैं या इस प्रकार के consistent अगर signals मिलते हैं किसी व्यक्ति से, तो शायद they are in some form of distress. It may not only be human trafficking, of course, but it may be some form of distress. So that is definitely one thing. For children, essentially, it may also be that they may be separated from their adult supervision. So अगर उनका immediate कोई adult supervision है, अगर हमें लगता है कि they are separated from that particular person, and if they feel lost in that situation, then essentially that there is a possibility that they have been separated from their parent or their guardian or their caregiver. So that is also another thing that we look at. One more thing that we look at is there is an overall fear. एक general fear होता है in victims of trafficking. या तो उनको ये लग सकता है कि एक तो भरोसा बहुत धीरे से करेंगे, किसी पे भी शायद वो भरोसा नहीं कर पाएंगे. अगर उनके साथ ऐसी घटनाएं बार बार हुई हैं या ऐसी घटनाएं हुई हैं तो शायद भरोसा नहीं कर पाते हैं. और दूसरा ये भी है कि उनको हमेशा डर रहता है कि उनके साथ कुछ बुरा होने वाला है. And these are also again things that you may observe only over a period of time. This is not something that may come to you very naturally, और एक बार में शायद आपको ये चीजें पता भी नहीं चलेंगी. तो कंसिस्टेंटली जब हम थोड़ा सा ऑब्जर्व करते हैं किसी के बिहेवियर को, तो शायद ये चीजें सामने आती हैं.
जैसे कि जगह से जा रहे हैं और वहां पे कोई बच्चा बार बार किसी के साथ, अगर वो जैसे छोटी सी बच्ची है और वो जैसे पुल के नीचे से हम लोग गाड़ी चला के जा रहे हैं और वो मतलब थोड़ा कभी उनको ऐसे लगता है कि वो बार बार नशे में घूम रहे हैं, कुछ ऐसा है, तो आपको लगता है कि ऐसी परिस्थिति में आपको फोन किया जाना चाहिए या क्या करना चाहिए किसी को? क्योंकि ये मैं बस कॉमन जो चीजें देखी जाती हैं उन चीजों को लेकर मैं ये मुद्दा उठा रहा हूँ आपसे.
करेक्ट. सो आई थिंक जो हमने 1098 पहले डिस्कस किया था, I think those are individuals that can actually provide that on the spot assistance, जो जहाँ पे जाकर अगर कुछ assessment करने की जरूरत है या उनसे बात करने की जरूरत है, उनके परिवार से बात करने की जरूरत है, या उनको immediately कुछ provide करने की जरूरत है, वो provision facilitate करने की जरूरत है, तो 1098 is the number typically that one may reach out to. Again, this is not something that may happen on the spot. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो immediately वहां आकर खड़े हो जाएंगे. But yes, over the next few hours, they will make all efforts to ensure that they come to that particular location. And it is also not something that may happen very immediately, है ना? तो ऐसा नहीं है कि आज हम complain करेंगे तो कल हमें इसका हल दिखेगा. But I think there is an effort that will be made to assess कि इस बच्चे के साथ क्या कुछ बुरा हो रहा है क्या, और अगर हो रहा है तो क्या इसकी मदद की जा सकती है और किस प्रकार से मदद की जा सकती है. तो दैट प्रोसेस विल डेफिनेटली बिगिन.
यहाँ सिर्फ सॉरी मैं एक बात कहना चाहूंगा सब लोगों से जो यहाँ पे हमारे साथ है, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग इन. और आप डिसअपॉइंट ना होइए, निराश ना होइए, क्योंकि अगर आप सब मतलब अगर 100 लोग भी यहाँ पे हैं और सब कुछ करना चाहते हैं और बार बार हम लोग ये मुद्दा उठाते हैं, फोन करते हैं, कुछ ना कुछ करेंगे, उसमें से अगर 10 लोगों की जान भी बचती है तो ये बहुत 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 बड़ी बात है. आपने 10 लोगों की जान बचाई है, मतलब आप जिंदगी में इससे ज्यादा क्या अच्छा कर सकते हैं. तो निराश ना होइए, कोशिश कीजिए. अगर मतलब अगर बात गलत है तब भी अच्छी बात है कि मतलब हमें सिर्फ ऐसे भय था लेकिन था नहीं, और अगर कोई बच जाता है तब भी अच्छी बात है. तो आप जरूर चौकस रहिए और कोशिश अपनी तरफ से पूरी कीजिए. डजंट मैटर, मतलब आप अपनी जिंदगी में सबसे अच्छा काम जो कर सकते हैं, किसी की जान, किसी को खुशी देना या किसी को फ्रीडम देना, वो सबसे जरूरी काम है.
And I think जैसे कि सुमन ने लिखा, he has written that someone had come to me, a 10-year-old kid. अभी कभी-कभी क्या होता है, it is somebody that we know, it's a friend, a neighbor, even a family member. In that kind of situation, Kashina, would you say that it is better to contact someone like your NGO directly, where the right person can come and mediate? Because कभी-कभी ऐसा डर लगता है क्योंकि ये हमारे जान पहचान लोग हैं, so you don't want to offend, but you have to do something about it as well, right?
Correct. So I think in situations where, like you're rightly saying, the situation becomes much more complicated because there's a known individual, an acquaintance, sometimes as close as a family member who may be engaged in something like this. तो इस situation में of course एक organization को reach out करना may be a good option. again, one thing that I want to flag here is the fact that safety पे थोड़ा सा हम लोगों को फोकस रखना भी जरूरी है. मे बी ऑल ऑफ अस में नॉट बी अडेप्ट एट अंडरस्टैंडिंग वेदर दैट पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल इज सेफ और नॉट, जो सिचुएशन में वो है. बट जैसे हम किसी को रीच आउट करते हैं तो सबसे पहले उसकी सेफ्टी को असेस करना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि टिपिकली फैमिलीज की जब हम बात करते हैं तो दे लिव इन अ शेयर्ड हाउस होल्ड, और अगर बच्चे के साथ कुछ गलत हो रहा है तो शायद उसी के घर में वो गलत हो रहा है. तो अगर उसको राइट टाइम पे इंटरवेंशन नहीं किया जाता है तो शायद वो कंटिन्यू हो सकता है फॉर अ सिग्निफिकेंटली लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. सो आई थिंक ये थोड़ी बहुत चीजें हैं जो शायद हमें ध्यान रखने की जरूरत है, स्पेशली जब हम फैमिली मेंबर्स की बात करते हैं और उनके इन्वॉल्वमेंट की बात करते हैं.
Yes, and I think one thing is that you have to remember that यहाँ थोड़ा सा courage चाहिए and you need a little bit of guts, but you're the only person who can help that kid. अगर आपके परिवार में हो रहा है, if it's happening within your family, then there is nobody else that's going to see it, there's nobody else that's going to notice it, and you have to have the courage to take the stand and do something about it, क्योंकि that is one life change. And it's difficult, it's scary, I know, but nobody else is going to see what you can see.
और सिर्फ फैमिली ही नहीं है, अगर आप अपने आसपास में कुछ ऐसा पाते हैं या आप कहीं पे जा रहे हैं, आपको कुछ सस्पिशन होता है, डाउट होता है, कुछ ना करने से कुछ करना ज्यादा जरूरी है. क्योंकि अगर आप कुछ करते हैं, हो सकता है इसका फल उस बच्चे के लिए, उसकी या उस लड़की के लिए या उस इंसान के लिए उनकी जिंदगी को बचा ले. तो हो सकता है उस परिस्थिति में उस वक्त सिर्फ आप ही उनका एक चारा है. तो कुछ कीजिए. ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर हम करें या ना करें क्या होगा, इसका नतीजा क्या नहीं होगा, हमें ये सोचना नहीं है. हमें पहले कदम उठाना है, उसके बाद देखेंगे क्या होता है.
Alright, so we've been talking a lot about the causes, what can be done. Maybe we can kind of end on some positive notes. Are there some stories that you would like to share with us? Jahan, you all were able to go and fix the situation.
So I think there are a couple of situations where जब हम, जैसे हमारा जो एस्थर ने शुरुआत में इंटरजेनरेशनल ट्रैफिकिंग की बात की, तो प्रेरणा का जो जर्नी शुरू हुआ था back in 1986 to 89 was initially when we started the organization, and when the organization was started, we started from Kamathipura, which used to be the biggest red light area back in the day. और वहां से जब हमने शुरुआत की तो हर बच्चा, जो स्पेशली लड़कियां जो पैदा होती थी कमाठीपुरा जैसे रेड लाइट एरिया में, they used to be trafficked in the sex trade. So her mother was a victim of commercial sexual exploitation and trafficking. वो खुद भी एक victim ही थी. And I think over the last almost 3.5 decades of Prerna's work, I think we've been successfully able to break at least that chain of intergenerational trafficking. So not every child that is born in the red light area today will be trafficked for the purposes of the sex trade. So I think that in itself is
amazing.
Is a big achievement for an organization like Prerna.
मतलब आप इनके में बंदे नहीं हैं, जो मतलब आपने उनके लिए एक होप दिया है ना?
बिल्कुल. And I think ये possible हुआ क्योंकि we were there in the red light area for the victims, for their for the mothers, for the children, all of them, and we were there to support them through this entire process. So I think पिछले 30-35 सालों में हमारा बेस रहा है जो रेड लाइट एरिया में हम काम कर रहे हैं, बच्चों के साथ जो काम करते हैं, महिलाओं के साथ जो काम करते हैं. I think that has basically been a guiding force for us to also achieve this kind of impact that we've been able to achieve over the last 3.5 decades.
Should we talk about the movement and what you can do just to join it?
Yes, I will let Esther join. For our
Sure.
हम दोनों आने वाले हैं 15th October, right, Esther?
15th October, yes, that's
October.
Saturday.
I will be there. Have we got the location fixed for Mumbai yet?
Almost, yeah.
Almost. Okay, but we will be walking
Yeah.
Mumbai on 15th October early in the morning. तो आप
Yeah.
तो I know so many of you all मुझे हमेशा मैसेज करते हैं, कमेंट्स देते हैं कि हमको मिलना है, तो आ जाओ, मिलो, और एक अच्छे कॉज के लिए भी थोड़ा सा सपोर्ट.
Yeah.
And we are going to be walking across the country. So whoever is following
So,
from Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Calcutta, the other cities as well.
there are 19 cities this time, so I'm not going to take the time to name all 19, but everything that you said is there. We're in 6 cities in Kerala this year. and 4 in Andhra, Telangana as well. So I just want to take a second to talk about the walk. It's not something that the movement invented. It's a global thing. It's hosted globally by A21, which is an organization against slavery. So there are 500 cities, over 50 countries that are participating in this walk. It's the largest event to raise awareness about human trafficking. Here we've been talking in this live about what can everybody do to help end this crime. And we feel that the first step is that every single citizen should become aware of the crime and help their own community become aware of the crime. And that will be the first step to ending the crime. Like we always say, we believe in an India that's free of human trafficking, and we believe that can happen in our lifetime if every single citizen is actively involved, aware, a watchdog within their own community. So it's something that everybody can be a part of. There is no registration fee. Whether you're a man, you're a woman, you're elderly, you're young, you're welcome. Just to be a part of the Walk for Freedom, I'm going to put the link to register in the comments right now. It's a simple website. It just says walk.themovementindia.com. It's also hyperlinked in our bio. Registration will take you 2 minutes, but because it's a public event, we do need you to register. And yeah, we're hoping to be out on the streets in the hundreds on October 15th, joining the world, raising awareness about this issue.
It's in the thousands, because I think there's a lot of people who, want to change this in India. And I know that, when we talk about the Aam Aadmi, any person walking on the street, especially in a city like Mumbai, where we see so much of it just out on the street, it makes all of us feel something really deep and sad within our hearts. And I'm sure we all want to do something to put a stop to it. So I'm believing that out in the thousands. Guys who are following us, I am going to be there personally in Mumbai on the 15th. But apart from that, I have my friends who are coming out in Mumbai, in Chennai as well. I'm in Chennai right now.
Yeah.
Get everybody on board here as well. So
I come and join you?
I expect you guys to be as excited.
I'm also going to join her.
I'm going to send him to Delhi, I think.
I'm going to see her. मैं जाके रशल से मिलूंगा वहाँ पे स्पेशली, और मैं इसलिए जा रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझे वहाँ पे.
Yeah, so some of you have asked, Suman is asking how can we connect with Prerna as well, because
follow them and
so you have the Movement India is on right now and Prerna is on live right now, so you can connect directly with NGO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we're in Gurugram as well this year. Yeah. Somebody just asked in the comments.
Is the walk?
Sorry. Yeah, there is a walk happening in Gurugram and in Delhi. Yeah, sorry, Kashina, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing, because we have a lot of individuals who may have joined us and who may want to know a little more about human trafficking particularly. We actually released a podcast this year around July, August, September. It's called Humans Not for Sale by Prerna. And we released this with a production company called Made in India. And some of the questions that we...
Yeah.
I think we've lost.
Oh no, I think we lost her. Yeah. So I'm going to link that as well. It's a podcast called Humans Are Not for Sale. And it goes into a lot of detail on all of the topics that we covered in brief today. You can find it on FrightTrafficking.org. The podcast is also up on Spotify. It's on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Yeah, Kashina, sorry, I think we lost you for a second, so I tried to fill in, but please go ahead.
I don't think I
no.
travel. So guys,
Right.
Get the link to the podcast as well.
Kashina's back.
She's back.
Yeah.
Hi.
Kashina ji, बहुत
I'll just take a minute. So I was barely gone for a few seconds, but I'll just quickly in a minute wrap what the podcast is about. So like the questions that we answered today, आज जैसे सवालों के जवाब दिए हमने, वैसे ही काफी सारे सवालों के जवाब उस पॉडकास्ट में आपको मिलेंगे. 8 एपिसोड का सीरीज है. इट इज इन इंग्लिश. सो हमने वहां पे थोड़ा सा ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग के बेसिक्स को कवर करने की कोशिश की है. इसी के साथ साथ जो अलग अलग स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, जैसे पुलिस, कई बार पूछा जाता है कि रेड या रेस्क्यू प्रोसेस किस प्रकार का होता है, हमारी जैसी संस्थाएं रेस्क्यू होने के बाद क्या काम करती हैं, सोशल वर्कर का दिन कैसे गुजरता है, तो वो थोड़ी चीजों को हमने इस पॉडकास्ट के द्वारा कवर करने की कोशिश की है, hoping that we reach out to a lot of general population, a lot of ordinary citizens like the ones joining us today. So please check it out. It's called Humans Not For Sale by Prerna.
Okay,
Alright,
with that, just
so-
want to say, guys, कुछ ना करने से कुछ करना बहुत जरूरी है.
Yes, and please do it or join us on the 15th of October for the Walk for Freedom. You can follow the Movement India to find out where the walk will be happening in your city. We're all going to be out there with you on the streets. And
Let's try and raise awareness for this.
Yes, raise awareness and
Yes.
try not to break the table also.
The table can go, but you can't break our spirit. Break the table, not our spirit. Come on.
Yes, but we are willing,
Done.
guys, bring an end to slavery in our country within our lifetime. So let's get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we come from a country where one man started a freedom movement. Imagine what everyone can do put together.
Yep.
That's it. Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you so much, Rochelle, for your time. Thank you for hosting this. Thank you for your heart to educate the larger population, to bring awareness about this issue. We really appreciate your commitment to the cause down the years. And yes, we're going to see you either in Mumbai, Delhi, or Chennai
Only-
on October 15th.
It's a
Yeah.
first step.
And yes, and Kashina, thank you so much for being here as our subject matter expert. The work you do at Prerna is amazing. More power to you and your team. And we look forward to seeing you as well on the walk on the 15th.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone,
Thank
and
you.
have a great
Thank
evening.
You
And
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
see you, everybody.
Bye. We have to leave.